software that might need looking at. Crystal stared at him, unimpressed. I'm talking about your motherboard. It has a glitch. Oh, I bet it does, Russell purred. Is it a naughty glitch? Does it need a firm hand? I'm going to run a diagnostic, she said, turning to the monitor. I hope you're good at your job, because this could take a while. Russell leaned back, convinced he was in the opening scene of a very specific kind of movie. Take all the time you need, Crystal. I'm a patient man when it comes to technology. 2 hours later, Russell walked into the diner, looking defeated. She actually just fixed the computer. She didn't even look at my software. She just updated my drivers and left. Maybe your hardware wasn't up to her standards. Russell. Jeff laughed, finally biting into a perfectly cooked steak. Chapter 16. The Ultimate Game. As the night drew to a close, the group sat in silence for a moment, the neon lights of the diner reflecting off their coffee cups. They had survived mothers-in-law, timeshares, fertility tests, and corporate brochures. You know, Adam said, breaking the quiet, I think I finally figured out the rules of engagement. Oh, yeah, Jeff asked, skeptical. What are they? There are no rules, Adam said with a shrug. You just keep showing up. You try not to be an ass face, and you make sure you always have a spare mattress. Jeff considered this for a moment. He looked at Audrey, who was already eyeing his fries. He looked at Jen and Adam, who were finally at peace. He looked at Russell, who was already hitting on the waitress. Close enough, Jeff said, sliding a fry toward Audrey. Close enough. Chapter 17. The Preemptive Christmas. The dust had barely settled on the beige brochure war when a new conflict arose, one fueled by tinsel and tradition. It was early December, and Jennifer was already vibrating with holiday energy, but not the kind Faye would approve of. We're opening our presents tonight, Jennifer announced as she walked into the Bingham's apartment, holding a stack of wrapped boxes. Jeff looked up from the TV. It's December 18th. Jen, the man in red hasn't even finished his pre-flight checklist. Isn't that like a felony in most households? It's a tradition in my family, Jen said defensively. We do it to stick it to the man. We don't like Santa having all the power. Stick it to the man. Jeff chuckled. Who's the man in this scenario? Saint Nick, the guy who gives away free stuff. That's like protesting a winning lottery ticket. Adam followed her in, looking exhausted. My family opens them a week early, too. Jeff, it saves us from the Christmas morning rush. Plus, it gives me more time to play with whatever I get before the actual holiday. Adam, Audrey said, shaking her head. Christmas morning is the whole point. The anticipation, the ritual, the shame of eating cookies for breakfast. Tradition is just peer pressure from dead people. Audrey, Jen said, though she looked a bit guilty. Besides, my brothers always used to open mine anyway, so I had to get there first just to survive. Chapter 18. The Heavyweight Bout. Mention of the brothers brought a haunted look to Adam's eyes. He sat down on the sofa, nursing his shoulder. Speaking of brothers, Adam said, "Did I ever tell you about the wrestling matches? Every night after dinner, the living room turned into the WWE. For Animalistic Brothers and me, the scrawny one. Is that how you got the concussion?" Jen asked, her tone softening. "One of them, my brother Steve once threw me into the wall because I tapped out too slowly. He said it was for my own good, to build character. My father just sat there and told me to tuck my chin. See?" Jeff said, gesturing to the room. "And you think my family is weird because we like TV. At least a sitcom doesn't give you a traumatic brain injury. They were having good, clean fun, Jeff," Adam insisted, though he flinched when Jeff moved his hand too quickly. It built a bond made of bruises and shared trauma. I was raised with a healthy dose of shame and guilt, Audrey added. Catholic style. We didn't wrestle. We just stared at each other until someone felt bad enough to apologize for something they didn't even do. Chapter 19, The Happy Scale. A few days later, Jeff was preparing for his final insurance follow-up. He had made weight thanks to his structurally significant wrists, but he was still obsessed with the numbers. "Audrey, I'm using the scale in the bathroom," Jeff shouted. "Don't do it, Jeff. That's the happy scale." Jeff paused, one foot on the platform. "The happy scale. Is that another faith thing?" "No," Audrey said, walking in. "It's the scale I set to be 10 pounds lighter. It makes me feel better about my morning muffin. The bitchy accurate scale is in the closet under the winter coats." Jeff stared at the display, which currently told him he weighed as much as a well-fed toddler. "So, I'm not an optimal male. I'm just a man with a dishonest bathroom appliance. You're optimal in my eyes, Jeff, and that's the only scale that matters." Jeff sighed, stepping off the scale. "Fine, but I'm still keeping the structurally significant certificate. It's the closest thing I have to an Olympic medal." Chapter 20, The Eternal Remote. The month ended much like it began, with the group gathered in front of a screen, though this time the signal was crystal clear. They were watching a documentary. Faye had recommended something about the secret language of Lycan, but nobody was really paying attention. Adam was leaning on Jen, who was already browsing wedding venues that weren't beige. Russell was texting 3 different women named Tiffany, and Jeff was holding the remote with a grip that suggested he would never let go again. "You know," Jeff whispered to Audrey as the lichen on screen began to grow at a glacial pace, "I think I'm okay with being an average male, as long as I have a front row seat to this circus." Audrey smiled, resting her head on his shoulder. "Average is the new optimal. Jeff, welcome to the club." The Manhattan skyline glittered outside, a million windows representing a million different sets of rules. But in apartment 7B, the rules were simple. Cherish the mattress, respect the remote, and always, always watch out for the pony keg. The end. The engagement rules a novelization. Chapter 1, The Hippie and the High-Rise. The morning light in New York City was